All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I am so excited to be here with Zhenya Novarine. Welcome, Zhenya. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. This is exciting.
Awesome. Yes, I'm so happy to have you on today. Zhenya has been just amazing, and we really have hit it off in the Prosperous Yoga Teacher Training, and I just love the journey that you've gone on and that you're continuing to go on. So wanted to share it with folks, and really appreciate you taking the time and joining us from your new space.
Yeah.
So love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jenya, something that I love is that um, you know, you came into the program, you got super clarity on who you help, and that is the foundation of good marketing. That's the foundation of, a good business. So maybe you can tell us, what do you do and who you help?
Sure. Yeah, that's been really awesome to clarify this. So I work specifically with women to help empower them with holistic approaches to reproductive health. I help women to find holistic solutions for things like uterine diseases, period pain, fibroids, cysts, infertility, so that they can just have the energy and vitality that they need to really serve their families and the things that they really love.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And such a need for people like you in the world. Oh my goodness.
Totally.
So much. So maybe you could give us a little insight into what it was like for you before you joined the program. What was going on before we started working together?
So before we started working together, I really felt frustrated, and I felt like I had all of these ideas and things that I saw myself, places I saw myself going, things I saw myself doing, but I felt like I was kind of hitting this wall of, well, how can I ever do this, and I remember, part of our first conversation, what really spoke to me was, you really named it, like, this feeling of like doing all that I could and like working so hard and teaching different classes and kind of hustling and driving around town. Yet I would kept finding that I was like still at this place that felt very immobilizing, and I had a lot of frustration about my financial situation. So it's very confusing. On one aspect, I felt all this inspiration and felt all this, felt a little bit of the value of like what I had to share with the world, but I just couldn't understand why I was working so hard and just kept coming to this kind of wall of you can't go anywhere. So it felt very stuck. It felt very stuck.
Yeah. And okay, so that's I want to dive into that a little bit more, but how about you fast forward, give us a view into the current mindset and what's going on now, including like we'll get more into kind of some of the external things you got going on, but let's talk about the mindset piece. What's the mindset now?
Yeah, so it's such a huge shift for me. I mean, last time we talked, it was one of the main things that I realized that the mindset was a huge piece for me. So, I still feel like I'm on a path. I don't necessarily feel like I've gotten to whatever point B is, but I feel like the journey is so different for me now. So I feel so much more inspired, and I feel I just feel that when I find myself kind of hitting those places of feeling stress or not really sure which way to turn or whatever, what decision to make, I feel like the practices that we really solidified in our program help me to really feel more grounded in those situations and like make a conscious choice to not go into that sort of downward spiral of stress. So I end up feeling more excited and more inspired. And I really feel excited today, like for everything that I have, that I'm working on. And just that alone is just such a huge shift. Like I don't feel this burden of stress and pressure and like I have to work so hard. It's like I feel like I can step back a little bit more and just already seeing all of these great things that I'm creating.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So what you were speaking of earlier, so like how you were showing up in your business before, kind of, it reminded me of, something we talk about in the coaching world, which is competing commitments. So it's like you had this commitment to grow your business, to be more, to expand, but yet there was some internal subconscious belief maybe, that it had to be difficult, it had to be painful, it had to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And those two things can basically cancel each other out, so that you can be doing a lot of things, but it's almost like you're just like treading water and not making progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, I remember like your first couple weeks in the program, you were like, charge it, like push hard, like let me do everything to the max. Like, let me just like be, 100%, 110%, go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, something happened, something shifted. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so one thing I realized kind of along the path was that like in order to really get to this place that I feel like I'm kind of at now, mindset wise, I think what started to happen was all of these things started to kind of come to the surface that were like deeper underlying issues that were important for me to look at, like in order to really move towards success. And I realized that there's no amount of pushing that can push through those things, right? It's almost like I had to step back and, like at the beginning, I was like, okay, this is an 8-week program. I have to get through this, in 8 weeks. And then I started to realize that no, it's like a lifelong program, And so it was more important. And I remember really feeling this kind of came to me. It was like, it's not what I achieve or it's not where I'm going. It's how I get there and it's how I do it. And I guess I just started to realize that it was so much more enjoyable and so much more, not just enjoyable, but just, yeah, more expansive, more creative, more fun to really step back. And I think at some point you said there was this difference between like pushing and like driving forward, whereas as opposed to like pulling the things that you want toward you.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's at some point I really felt that. It was like as I stepped back, I realized that, optimizing my communication and my relationship with my son and how I have a son who's 7. And so for me, this summer was a big, like, how do I get my work done while also being a parent? And so that was a huge piece. That wasn't like the module, like module 3, like how to become an entrepreneur as a mom or whatever. But it was like, I realized that was something that I was going to have to really work on in order to kind of keep moving. So it was like I had to be more organic, right, with how the process unfolded. And I think in reflecting on that and really looking at that, I realized that there was this shift for me around like putting all this pressure on myself. Like I have to do this by this certain point, or and so it became more like I remember journaling about like the nature of time, right? And how time in our culture is like so linear and you have to keep driving forward. And whereas, in nature, there's like these cycles and circles and so giving yourself more time and being okay with that and actually enjoying that because it was giving me more of an integrated experience rather than just getting it done to get it done, And so yeah, major shift for me. And I learned a lot about how I have been functioning and that it's actually not the best way, you know. And it's
Uh-huh.
not working hard now, but it feels different somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love what you said about that. Like, there's some things that you just can't push through.
Mm-hmm.
That's so powerful. And when you're talking about that cyclical nature of time,
Mm-hmm.
this reminds me of something that we talked about a lot, which is around like the difference between manager time and maker time, or
Yeah.
creator time. And that's so
Mm-hmm.
important for folks like you and I and most healers, I think, most yoga teachers, etc., where we have this creative, kind of vein, or this creative soul that we really, there's a reason why we're doing this kind of work, right? There's a reason why we're putting ourselves out there, starting a business to help people, creating, like this idea of like creating a program, by bringing your unique ability, your all of your genius together to help somebody. It's very much a creative act. So, signing up for something like that, or even having the idea to do something like that, is a creative act in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if we then take that creativity and try to shove it in a box of, okay, I have a half-hour block of time to, or an hour to try to like cram this in and get this thing done, right? It
Mm-hmm.
it it's like trying to put a square peg into a circle, circular hole, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. And I know you have a background in music, and you're a artist, and like what you're talking about, this cyclical nature of time, is very much aligned with like the creative process. You have to give it time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to give things time and let things breathe. But then on the other hand, with things that are not like creative acts, like just like checking an email, setting up some kind of whatever technical thing or whatever it might be, those are things that we can be like, okay, we don't need to take all day to do that. We can just get it done because it's not really like a creative act, right?
Totally.
I love it.
Yeah, and I would love to share one little thing just along the line of cycles, because I'm realizing too that like the last time I did an event for women, like this is a huge part of what I do. I'm trying to like help women to see that they need to look at their natural cycles to know when the best time is to really optimize their work and to really step back and rest when they need to. And just that alone can change so much for people's health. And so in the process of going through this program, I felt like I got to really look at my own patterns. And you kept telling us that like you're going through some of these things so that when you're going to be working with your clients, you get to say, hey, I've been there. And then you can really empathize with what the person's going through. And so I kept reminding myself that like it's showing me like how to get through in a really healthy way rather than whatever
Right.
the alternative is.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So something that's so essential is that you have to do things your way. You have to show up authentically, fully as you, and that's something that I'm always a champion for. But on the other hand, there are structures, and strategies that really work when it comes to marketing, when it comes to growing your business. And there's always that kind of play of the structure and the unstructured, the creative and form, or organization, whatever it might be. And like I love that you've really kind of seen through that and overcome that to really make it yours, really really unique to you. So any other thing along the lines of organization, time, lifestyle that you've learned?
Well, definitely the time blocking was helpful because we talked about not just managerial time and creative time, but like
Yeah.
self-care time and, really scheduling in our practices and the things that are really important to us and scheduling in family time. So yeah, I've really stuck with that, and also scheduling, planning time, and that's just an ongoing process. So yeah, I really learned a lot from that process, and even though sometimes I have to shift things, I really try and stay committed to those blocks that I have, because I realize how important it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So something else that really struck me in one of our recent conversations, you were talking about, okay, we were talking about the difference between scarcity mindset and abundance mindset, and how you were saying now you're able to, in the moment, shift from when you're noticing scarcity into abundance. Can you speak to that a little bit? What's going on there?
Yeah, gosh, I think that's like the hugest thing. I think if somebody asked me like, what's one thing, that you got from this program that was really valuable, I feel like that was it. And I think I mentioned it earlier, like, in the past, when I was confronted with that wall, right, of like,
Yeah.
I want to do this thing, but I don't have the money, or whatever it was, whatever the repetitive narrative was, I just felt so stuck. And now I feel, and you gave us such a great visual for this. And I don't know if I should share it or if that's like a spoiler, but you gave us this visual of like how shifting our mindset, right? It actually takes shifting the patterns in our brain. And I'm not going to give the visual so people can learn it from you, but it really gave me this opportunity to practice and notice. And you also helped us to kind of identify our old way of being and identify what this new way of being was for us. And so so now I feel like it's not like those things don't come up, or like I don't have days that are stressful or things come up for me, but I realize now that going into it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve my family or the people around me. And the more I go into that scarcity mode, the less I have access to like my creative, resourceful potential. And so now when I feel myself going there right away, I just go straight into prayer. Like that's what it is for me. I'm like, okay, there's something to be learned here. How can I go back into trust and faith and gratitude? And for me, it's prayer too, because it's like for me, gratitude is like a prayer. To be like, well, wait a minute, actually, wait, I have so much. And the other thing I just want to share about that is that see, I just drew a blank, but that process is so valuable. It really is. Yeah, there was something I was going to say, but I can't remember.
All good. Yeah.
For me, I'll let you know.
No, it's so cool. I love that you brought up, shifting the brain and shifting, like the neuroscience, it's really actually a scientific process, and the habitual tendencies that we have, the habits that we've created, over our lifetime are so strong, and the things that we just do without thinking about it, those are the habits that we've created, right?
Sure.
So if we're just going into scarcity over and over again without even thinking about it, that's what happens so often. That's basically just a habit that has been, drilled into it. We've just done it so many times that, that neural pathway in our brain has basically become like a super highway, right? It's just so easy. You can just cruise on that, right? And this is why it's so hard to change our habits, because it's difficult to be able to create a new habit, because it's like, oh, I'm going to hop off this super highway where I'm just cruising and it's easy. And I'm going to like go off into some, unknown, path that's, not even possibly a road or a path. And I'm going to go, just like climb through the bushes and like try to hike up that's what it feels like. It feels sometimes like you're hiking up like a mountain that sometimes feels insurmountable, right? But as you do it over and over again, with repetition, with routine, with ritual, with like daily practice, with having a guide, a mentor, a coach, a community, right, to hold you accountable, then it's like you keep taking that new trail over and over again until it's like it's a well-worn path, and that all of a sudden is a legitimate path that you can take. So I don't know if that was similar to the visual that you're talking about, but that's
it was the tall grass. But actually, I wanted to remember what I was going to say, because I feel like this is like a real life example. Like, so this was something I experienced a lot. Was like, okay, I want to grow my business. I want to hire a logo designer. This is just like an example, right? And then instantly I would go into this like scarcity mentality of like, oh, I can't afford this, or oh, it's too expensive or whatever. And then I would just get myself shut off right away, you know? And so this experience that I had recently was so profound because you taught us that, that exactly, it's like the scientific thing, right? So when we're in that stress scarcity mode, we don't have access to the part of our brain that's resourceful, that's making connections, that's creative. And I think that was such a huge thing for me, was opening up to that creativity, because just the other day, I wanted to launch a new production of these steam stools that I make. And again, I was like, I felt that familiar pattern of like, well, how can I do this? And as soon as I just kind of like, okay, like, let me just look at it. How can I do this, right? That same pattern wasn't as strong. And so I was able to be like, oh, let me sell the ones that I have left. And I did this like liquidation sale. And within like 2 hours of just posting, I had sold my last 2 or 3, and which gave me the resources to go ahead and create this new line of products. So that alone, I think, is just such a huge thing, that sense of resourcefulness, that I think I knew I had in me, but I was just so stuck in those old patterns that I didn't know like how to. So yeah, I needed you as a guide.
Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on right now? You're joining us from your new space. You started working in that space maybe what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, it was shortly into the program.
And now you're working on a new, you're really like owning your badassery. You're owning your, creative entrepreneurial genius, and you're starting, a couple new product lines and things like that are, so obviously you have your signature program that you developed in the Prosperous Yoga Teacher Training, but now you're having some actual products to help your people as well. But what I love is that it's all centered around serving your people, your tribe. So what's going on?
Sure. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things. So the space that I'm in is really great because there's like a yoga studio. There's also my treatment room is here. And then we have this kind of shared meeting space and kitchen. And yeah, I feel like that was kind of synchronistic that it all happened during the program. But so right now I do have my signature program, and just to give a better idea, since I work with women specifically around their cycles, there's some, I do a lot of herbal preparations, and so I'm basically going to be launching a tea company. And I just had some clarity on, I used to feel like a lot of the things that I did were kind of fragmented, whereas now I think, creating the signature program has kind of really clarified that for me, that it's not fragmented, and actually all these things go together in a really wonderful way. And so yeah, I'm going to be getting ready to launch a tea and steam company. So there'll be steams for women for different parts of their cycles, as well as teas. And so I'm working on that, and I'm working on kind of relaunching. So I just had a meeting a few days ago and decided that, like, once I'm kind of through with that process and I've created my product line, I want to have kind of like a grand opening and kind of introduce my brand and my company, and to share people what I'm doing. So it's kind of going to be cool because there's going to be my signature program, but then also this opportunity for people to sign up for like a year-long membership of having teas and steams sent to their home. Like a subscription type thing. So it's really exciting. There's a lot in the works, and I think one of the most valuable things is that now I can just step back and just kind of watch it happen, and it's kind of fun and entertaining rather than like overwhelming. So I don't have like a exact timeline on when it's all happening, but it's happening. So
love it. Okay, cool. Well, we're definitely going to drop your info in the comments below so that people can stay in touch and watch, things unfold, and be ready to hop on the rebrand or the relaunch, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be really exciting to watch. And when you're speaking about this, I do want to wrap it up soon, but I have to speak to this because everything you're talking about right now is kind of flashing me back to, I don't know, you were about 3 weeks into the program and we had a conversation we were in a one-on-one, pretty deep dive coaching conversation, and I remember just this theme kept coming up around, your unique, what's your zone of genius, right? And who are you truly at your core, and are you showing up fully as you? And I remember it like that was still in that time where it was like that push, 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 and it seemed like that conversation just kind of blew some things wide open. I don't know if you remember that conversation, but when you're speaking of these things now, okay, cool. When you're speaking of these things now, I feel like I'm seeing the fruition of that, of you like just owning who you really are, not worrying about what anybody thinks about who you really are, and just like owning your unique brilliance, and just being like, this is who I am. I'm going to let that express in all of these different business ideas that I have.
Absolutely. I absolutely remember that conversation. And I think it really boiled down to like trying to change the way I was presenting myself in order to like fit in with like what I thought the other person wanted me to be or something, whoever that other person was, right? It was like all these different people. And
right.
It's true. I think that realization of like, wait a minute, I'm like really great just the way that I am. Actually, I'm awesome, when I'm just being myself. And that was a huge, huge shift for me. Actually, before I even enrolled anyone into my program, that really shifted the way that I worked with people one-on-one, because I felt less afraid of like what the other person was thinking. So I automatically started to, and I kept thinking back to how the new way of being was now kind of the mainframe rather than like, something I was trying to work toward. So I really felt like my sessions with my clients started to really open up and become more effective, because I was more tapped into what was coming through me instead of that like anxiety or something of like how it was going to be received. And that kind of goes with that owning that expert frame. I really feel like that was really essential for me. And I hear a lot of people talk about this, like imposter syndrome. But the reason we're feeling like we're an imposter is because we're not being our true selves, not because we're trying to be somebody else. It's like, so yeah. When you can be yourself, you can let go of that imposter syndrome, because you're not trying to be like someone else. You're just being yourself. 110%.
Yeah, you just nailed it. That is so powerful. That's huge. Just to hear it put in those words is so cool. You're not being yourself. You feel like an imposter because you're not being yourself.
Totally.
I can remember back years ago when I was terrified of public speaking. I was a school teacher. I remember this, like getting up in front of a room of people and feeling like an imposter because I was trying to do it like other people would do it, right? How would other people do this? Like, I don't know. I'm going to try to do it the way other people would do it, right? Terrified.
Not fun.
Yeah. And so that like comes down to that really core, what is fear really? Fear is like, self-consciousness, worried about what others are going to think, right? And I love what you said, like worrying about like what that other person might think, whoever that other person is on the other side of the computer screen, whoever that person is that's reading your emails or, reading your posts or any of your marketing, to be worried about what they might think means you're not.
I know we're like almost done, but just interjecting, because this was huge for me, like directly communicating with people. I just want to share a really cool win around that, because, we really worked in this program. We really worked a lot on just reaching out to people and not being afraid. And I even remember somebody asking like, well, but these are some of the people that I work with and my colleagues. And just the other day, I had sent out this email, and I got an email back from this woman who is an administrator at my son's school. And she was like, maybe I should get together with you. I'm having these issues. My daughter's having these issues. And so for me, it was just such a great reflection of like, the people in my community need this work. And it's okay. It's all right for me to send out an email and say, look at this great work that I do. Do you or somebody need help with this? Because I would love to help you. Such a different feeling than like, ooh, what is this person going to think? Are they going to think I'm bugging them? Are they going to think I'm desperate or whatever, So big shift there. And it's so cool to see now people are like, oh, I heard about you. And I'm like, oh, really? Cool. So Anyway, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And one golden nugget I want to share around that too is where people really get stuck is they think that it's about them, right? So that self-conscious fear mindset, we think it's all about us. And we think, well, who wants to, I don't want to bother anybody. Who wants to hear from me, right? But the shift comes when you think about others and you've zeroed in on what their particular problem is, and you're speaking to them in their language around how their problem is affecting their daily life, and how when they get their problem solved, what that might lead to for them, right? And your program, your brand, everything is geared towards that outcome and solving, a serious life problem for people. When people see that, then it's speaking to them, and it's like a huge relief. And they're like, wow, thank God somebody actually is doing something to help me and to help others who have this problem, right? Or these multiple different problems. And so it's not about you at all. It's about the solution that you're providing. And it's really a breath of fresh air because you're meeting them where they are instead of being like, hey, look at me. I'm so great. Don't you want what I have? And I'm going to convince you why you should have it. It's the complete opposite of that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we could talk all day about these super cool mindset shifts, but and business shift and business growth and entrepreneurial growth and money mindset. We didn't even really get into money mindset, which was another thing that I really wanted to tap into, but I think we got enough. So Zhenya, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and taking time. And I really appreciate you as, a human being for what you're doing. Also really appreciate you as an ideal client for showing up just, open-minded, coachable, committed, and just ready to really go beyond and, get to that next level. And you're showing up as the embodiment of that. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Anything else you want to share with everybody?
Well, goodness, I just feel so appreciative, and I'm just so honored to do this interview because really I feel like I totally recommend your services. I think you're a great coach, and I've just gotten so much out of this program. So thank you for this opportunity to share my experience because it really has been awesome. So cool. And I feel like it's never really ends. Like it's going to be going on for the rest of my life. And that's huge. It's a huge, there's no value. It's completely priceless. It really is. It really is.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. And can you share with everybody what's your website? And after we jump off, I'll drop a link below, but share. Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I'm located in New Mexico, and the website will be changing shortly, but right now it's holistic with a W and then the word expression. So holisticexpressions.com. Nice. And that kind of is, my little portal. So
cool.
Have people reach out and say hi, ask questions.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, so I'll drop that link below in a second.
Great.
And then I'm going to see if I can pop up a link here to show where people can reach out to me if they want to. So if you're interested in having a conversation, if any of these ideas resonated with you and you feel like you're stuck in your business, you're meant for more, you want to grow your business, then just reach out to me. You can head over to the prosperousyogateacher.com/apply. You can hop on my calendar or somebody on my team. And what we'll do is we'll have a conversation. We'll talk for about an hour and we'll dive into, areas where you feel stuck, areas, where you want some growth, and then map out a game plan to help you get there. And that conversation in itself can bring clarity that's going to shift your life and business forward because I don't hold any punches. I get very clear very quickly, and I'm very happy to hold a mirror up and show you exactly where your business is stuck and also show you exactly where your business can move forward. And so I would love to talk to you. It's a really wonderful conversation, super valuable. So prosperousyogateacher.com/apply, and hope to talk with everybody sometime soon. If not, then shoot a message, private message, just saying hi. And thanks for showing up today. Thank you so much, Zhenya, once again. Really appreciate you. appreciate you so much, and really looking forward to everything that is coming up for you and all the exciting things.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Great.
Well, have a great day, and we will talk soon, okay?
Great. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.